Welcome, everybody. You guys having fun? Cool. I'm having fun, too. This is a fun conference, isn't it? It's kind of like, it's got a whole different vibe to it. All right, so here's the deal. 10 tips, 10 ideas for creating killer posts. I'm going to ask you to do one thing. So you've got a way you can kind of send in your questions, and I've got a little iPad up here I can go through and get questions. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor and kind of just hold any questions that you want to ask if you were just going to come up and ask them. I will hang out for a few minutes afterwards. We can go off to the side or whatever. I'll be happy to answer any questions for you that way. There's only one rule. You know where you can't ask questions? The bathroom. Okay? And as you guys, there's a reason why I have to say that. It's not just because it's happened before. It was very awkward, Brian. So, anyway. So I put together a class for you guys that I think hopefully as a photographer, as someone using Google Plus, that it's useful in that it gives you ideas on what to post. You know, you're here, you're learning all about this stuff, and you have people telling you, post every day, post 2 times a day, do this, do that. Don't look at followers, look at followers. There's a lot of different stuff out there, but I wanted to give you guys just ideas of what to kind of fall back on when you want to engage with people, you want to post something out there, and you just don't have any ideas. That's kind of the idea behind this class. And also the other thing is take it this way. I know we're here, it's Google Plus Photographers Conference. This is posting on Google Plus, but it applies to anything. It applies to just engaging out there with the community. So whatever you're doing, whatever you're thinking of, hopefully these ideas will help you kind of spur some thought process of what you can do to start coming up with different things for that. Okay, so wherever it is, take it off of a specific network, if you will, and kind of think of being able to apply these ideas anywhere. So the very first one here, don't just post a photo, post a story. All right, so you'll get a very, very different reaction. You'll get a very, very different, a whole different set of, I guess, eyes on what you're doing if you actually post a story behind the photo, all right? And depending on what your purpose is, I had somebody come up to me. We did a class a couple of months ago, and we talked about posting photos. Photographers love to see photos. It's got to be, for us, for photographers, it's got to be an engaging photo for us to even draw us into the post. And so somebody said, well, I'm trying to sell my photography, so do I post a photo and do I say, come to my website, and you can buy a print for $125. And what I suggested to him was not to do that, but to post the story behind the photo. And here's an example. I posted, this was a photo that I took in Dubai, okay? And I posted the story behind the photo, all right? If I was trying to sell my work, what I would probably do after is click on my website link to buy a print. But that's not the purpose of the post. When that's the purpose of the post, people are a little skeptical. You're always trying to sell something. And we're always, I think we always by nature feel like we're trying to be sold on something. So it's kind of weird if you say, hey, buy this print for $150 and you show a beautiful photo. Instead, tell the story about the photo. Show the same photo, and at the end of that story, you just give them a link to your website. Okay, so there's one example. There's another example. Post a photo, tell the story that's behind it. In this photo here, I was just kind of telling the story of, I shoot a lot of family portraiture, and one of the things it's just, I always kind of like, and the people the clients that I shoot this for always like it, I always have their kids running. And so this little girl I'd shot their portraits the year before, and she came back to me the next year, she's like, I've practiced their whole running thing. She's like, can you take another picture of me? So it was really cute, and so it's just, it was a nice, kind of a nice story to tell about it. Oh, one of the things though, don't just post a photo, post a story. The only thing that I would caution you against is be careful about posting bad photos. And when I say bad photo, you're like, okay, I normally wouldn't post a bad photo. Be careful about, and this is a lesson learned, is a while back when I first started using Google+, I was trying out a softbox or something. I forget exactly what it was. but I posted the photo. I didn't get a professional model. I just grabbed somebody from the office. I really wasn't paying close attention to lighting. I didn't retouch the photo. I didn't do all these things that I would normally do to a photo. And the purpose of my post was to tell people, hey, I'm trying out this softbox. Here's a couple of thoughts. Do you know what all the comments were? I don't really care for the lighting. I'd probably retouch the eyes a little bit. The eyes look a little bit dark. I don't care for this. I don't care. That's what all the comments were. You know why? Because when you post a photo, that's the first thing everybody looks at. And sometimes they don't even go as far as to read everything that goes along with it. So if there's a lesson learned here, it's if you've got a photo that's not a really good photo that you want people to see, be careful of the context in which you're posting it in. You know, I think people thought that this was a photo that I shot in my studio. What do you think? Everybody take a look. And they commented before they even read the story behind it. All right, so let's see here. Oh, it's kind of neat. My iPad actually texts me the questions. I thought I was going to have to go and look on them. So there you go. So 2 ideas for that. Idea number 2, you got to get personal. All right? This can't be all about you just posting photos. If you really want to get in there and you really want to engage people, you've got to also show them a little bit about you. Okay? So don't hesitate to, you post a photo on Monday, you post a photo on Tuesday, or maybe you post a photo in the morning, and then in the afternoon, it's, and you know what gets a ton of comments? It gets a ton of traction. It gets people to understand you. Coffee posts. I don't drink coffee, so I can't ever post it. But when I see people and they post a picture of Starbucks and they say, this is the longest line ever, I need my coffee, it's like 1,000 people come in. And they comment on it because you're identifying with that person. Okay? And that's what personal stuff does. It's not necessarily about the number of everything and the number of the engagement, but the people that are engaging, you're just helping them identify with you. So here's a thing that I posted. It's probably hard for you to read, but I posted this on December 17th, so this was the weekend before Christmas. And I posted, "'Twas the week before Christmas when all through the house, Matt was cleaning at the urging of his spouse." And then I put, and my wife wanted to, and I put, "I'd rather be playing Xbox." But my wife absolutely wanted to kill me because I didn't have a dirty, crazy photo of anything in my house. And I went on to, I think, iStockPhoto.com, and I saw this, and so I downloaded it. But everybody thought, oh my God, if my house looked like that, your wife must hate you for posting it. It's not really my house. I just put it there as just to kind of show an example there. But everybody thought it was my house. But that's, you're kind of putting yourself out there a little bit. You're saying, hey, I'm cleaning today. And this was on a Saturday or Sunday, and I mean, I think 34 people commented. I've posted photos where I got many less comments than that. So you'll be surprised at what adding that personal level will do, because one day you'll post a photo, and then somebody's going to comment and say, yeah, I bet you should have been out taking photos when you were cleaning the house that one day. People remember this stuff. And that helps identify, kind of helps build your brand as a photographer. Number 3, don't just share, which, by the way, I think you should share posts. I think that's another really good way, regardless of what you're doing, is to engage with people. You should share posts, even on blogs. I share other people's links on my blog, but write something about it. So don't just share, but you have to share and you have to add to it. Scott Kelby's he's really good at that. I put an example here, but somebody had shared something about location in the wine and cheese reception here. So Scott shares it, but he adds to it, and he adds his own take on it. And so that's something when you're, remember, our whole goal with these 10 things here is when you're stuck for an idea. When you're stuck for an idea, open up your feed and start scrolling through. What catches your eye? Did somebody share a gallery? Did somebody share a photo? Did somebody share a story? Did somebody share a picture of a Starbucks line? Whatever it was, whatever catches your interest, because remember, it's about you. It's got to interest you, because if it doesn't, you're not really going to stick with it. But whatever catches your eye, take a look and share it, but add something to it. And it gives you, it gets you out there. People will then hear from you because remember, you've got to be out there and people have to be hearing from you on a frequent basis. So it gives people the ability to hear from you, but it's not necessarily content that you're sitting there and you're trying to come up with. I got nothing to share today. I don't have a story. I'm stuck. Find something, find a cool post, and share and add your take on it. All right, let's see here. So Matt says, I'm going to take one question here. Matt says, how can I increase my exposure and encourage people to share? It's a good question, Matt. One of the ways to encourage people to share is to ask them to share, right? It goes back to marketing 101, sales 101. If you want something, you have to ask for it. So when you write something, at the end of it, and you can do it in a very humble way, say, I'd appreciate if you like this story, share it with your friends, okay? And you'd be amazed. And I challenge you to do this because I guarantee you, as soon as you do it, you'll realize the difference. On a Tuesday, post something at 10 a.m. Don't ask anybody to share it. On Wednesday, post the same exact thing at 10 a.m., okay? Because you have different people that come in throughout the day. So the people that saw you at Tuesday at 10 a.m., or chances are they're not the same people that see you on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Post the same thing and ask people to share it. I guarantee you'll get more shares from it. You'll get people that'll share it with other people. So that's one way to encourage people to do that. Another thing to do, and we talked about this on our panel earlier today, is to share with people that are like-minded with you, that are in the industry that are like-minded with you. So write a small story, write something. The example that was used this morning is Brian Matias is in the back of the room. Brian shoots a lot of HDR photos. Well, you like HDR. Write a little post that says, I read one of Brian Matias's blog posts, or I read one of Brian Matias's posts here on Google+, and he talked about this. And I realized when he said that blah, 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 and you go on there, and that way Brian knows that you just did that, because Brian's going to see that come up in his notifications, and you start developing a relationship, and now that sharing is starting to come around. So Brian sees, oh, this guy, he's got some really cool work. Let me share that too. So you can see how it's all very reciprocal. All right, let's see. Next one here says, this one's from Brad. It says, dude, you're bombing. Okay. All right. Next up, number 4. Here's a great idea when you are stuck with something that you want to post something and you're stuck. Top 10 posts. Top 10 posts do great. My top 10 list. And if you don't have 10, and trust me, sometimes it's hard to come up with 10, as you saw in this class. If I could have renamed this class this morning, I'd have renamed it the top 7 ideas for creating posts on Google+. But a top something, top 7, top 5, top 3, 4 and 6 don't really, I don't know why. It's got to be like odd numbers. You ever notice that? So it can't be the top 4. For some reason, it just doesn't feel right. But it could be top 3, my top 5, my top 7. But top list of sorts. I did one toward the end of last year, and I put top things that I'd +1, because it was on Google+, top things that I +1 in 2011. And so I just went in and I just did, just various things. My favorite plugin, my favorite softbox, favorite place for my favorite book of 2011. But I just did a quick list. And the other thing is, depending on what's in these top 10 lists, it could be my favorite HDR photo. And again, it goes back to before, from Brian Matias. Now, we know it wouldn't be your favorite HDR photo. I'm just saying that because Brian's back there. But, my favorite HDR photo of 2011 from Brian Matias and a link to the photo. But now you're getting multiple things in there, right? You're getting a post. You're getting something that, you're able to write an idea for the post, but you're also sharing it with somebody else, and you're bringing other people into it too. So if you're ever stuck for an idea, people love top 10 lists, all right? Because you're kind of saying, this is what I use all the time. So people love those top lists. All right, number 5, how-tos or lessons learned. Here's another really good one. What this does is it kind of it takes things that you've learned over time, and now you can use it to teach other people. But at the same time, it shows other people, hey, you have the same problems I have. How many people shoot HDR photos out here? Okay. How many people have left their bracketing turned on when they've gone to another photo shoot and looked at their camera and been like, why do I suck so bad as a photographer? It's white, it's exposed. And then you take another one and it's too dark and you're like, it was just overexposed, now it's underexposed. And you take another one and, oh, that looks pretty good. And sadly, it's been longer than I care to admit before I realized that, but hopefully you realize it very, very quick and you take it off of bracketing mode. But there's a post for you. Lessons learned. What do you do to combat that? Some people put a little piece of tape on their camera to kind of let them know, okay, I'm in bracketing mode, so when they pick their camera up next time and they go to shoot something, they realize they take their camera out of bracket mode. But those are lessons learned, and again, you're teaching somebody something, you're sharing your experiences with people, but you're also doing what I think we all want to see done. And again, it's another topic we talked about this morning. Nobody wants to appear perfect, right? You don't always want to show the perfect photo and everything's perfect, because we know everything's not always perfect. And so what you'll find is the things that you talk about, the things that you communicate with people that get away from the perfect side of things, you'll find sometimes that's the most interactive material that you ever put out there, because everybody identifies with it. Everybody can identify with something not going right. So that's lessons learned, how-tos. I did a post one time, how do I get the silky water on a waterfall? Okay, 1/60th of a second, 1/30th of a second, your shutter speed. And then I did like my own little Q&A to myself. And then, so what happens if I take 1/60th of a second and the photo's overexposed? It's too bright. Well, then you need an ND filter of some sort to put over to take down that exposure. But it's just a little how-to. It doesn't have to be a long 1,500-word tutorial, right? Just quick, something very, very quick. People like to read that stuff. All right. Again, another example, how-to's lesson learned. So Scott and I got in a car on Sunday and drove down to Big Sur. And we were shooting the sunset, and so it's a whole post idea, because decent photo, it's light's good, everything's good, and the sun went behind that cloud, and it just fizzled. So there's a post idea, how to lessons learned. Check the weather forecast before you go somewhere. See what sunset's going to be like. See what cloud cover is going to be like. But these are all things that other people can benefit from. Another lesson learned. I went out with two friends, Brian and Nicole, the other morning. We went to shoot the Golden Gate Bridge. Never saw the bridge. It was the morning, all the flight delays yesterday with the fog and everything. Never saw the bridge. I mean, when I say never saw the bridge, I don't mean like the fog cleared ever so slightly and we could look through and see part of the bridge. Nobody even knew where the bridge was. All you could see was, you could hear the foghorn, and so you kind of knew the general direction in which to look. But we were driving to Fort Baker after that, of which we all knew that we still weren't going to see the bridge. I mean, we didn't see it up there, we're not going to see it down there. And as we're driving along, we had that moment where we could say, we saw this, and we all looked out of the car, and we saw like, wow, that looks cool. And we kept driving for a second. I was driving, so I won't blame them. I kept driving for a second, and then we stopped, and we're like, you know what? Why don't we shoot this? At least it's something. At least this is eliciting way more emotion than anything we've seen this morning so far. So again, it's a lesson learned. Don't sometimes what you go out to shoot with or to shoot for that morning, sometimes that's not what you come back with that morning, or what come back with from that morning. All right. Number 6, quick reviews. This is another one. If you're stuck, look inside of your camera bag, find something, and write 3 things I like about X. Heck, it could be your camera bag. 3 things I like about my camera bag. Why do I use the camera bag that I use? But these are, if you're in a bind, everybody's got something that we really, really like. And you know what? Maybe it's something you don't really like, just as valuable. 3 things I don't like about X. Yeah, maybe you have a lens. 3 things I don't like about this lens. And maybe you bought the lens and you don't find you use it anymore. So that's another idea for a post that it's right around you, anywhere you are. You can come up with an idea for 3 things, 4 things, whatever it happens to be. And you know what you'll find out? I think you'll notice you'll start to sit down and say, I'm going to write 3 things about whatever product it is. And as you start to write it, now you're up to 7 things. Now you're up to 10 things, So I think it kind of evolves as time goes on for that. All right. Weekly recap of cool photography-related stuff. So, recaps. We can't pay attention to everything during the week. I love recaps. I love when blogs that I go to. I don't know if you're like this, but there's blogs that I read a lot, and at the end of the week, they'll do like a link roundup or a recap of some sort of things for whatever that blog is. And sometimes it could be one of 2 things. It could be, if you're the type that posts a lot, it could be a weekly recap of your posts. Posted about this, posted about X. If you don't post that much, if maybe you only post once a day, your weekly recap is going to be just go look at the last 5 days. But if you don't post a lot, then search through what things did you find interesting that week, okay? And if you're writing this down, put a little asterisk next to this because we're going to come back to this at the end because I have a really, really good tip for you on how to do that. Because you know what's hard? You find something interesting, you don't really think about it, you don't save it, and what happens on Friday? You want to write that quick, small paragraph of a weekly recap. You spend an hour searching through stuff that you've already looked through that week, trying to find out, God, I know I saw it somewhere. Whose feed was it in, So we'll talk a little bit about how we can start to do this better and more efficiently at the end. All right, and somebody's got to start asking questions here. Because all I got is Brad telling me that I'm still bombing. Is there? Oh, the Google Plus. How do you get to that? Hold on. It's in the app, isn't it? All right, we're going to find it here. Do I go home? I should learn how to use the app, shouldn't I? How do I make a call on this thing? All right, we'll find it in a second here. It's Guy Kawasaki definitely didn't ask me a question because he's teaching right now. RC, you know what? Everyone should have an RC. Seriously, everyone should have an RC because I guarantee you, the stream of questions that people could be asking. Everyone should have an RC. I guarantee you throughout the day, if I don't know something, I just go to RC. And RC knows it. Here's the thing about RC. If RC doesn't know it, RC finds out. So buy an RC. When you leave here, they're selling them. See at the MPix booth right back there? There's actually an area to buy an RC. Thank you. All right. Let's see. So I got 3 more left. Harvey says, I struggle with the ability to write properly. Any thoughts on style for writing? It's an English class, Harvey. Writing. No. Any thoughts on style for writing? Write how you talk to people. All right? You know what people hate to read? People hate to read words they would never use in daily conversation. Right? Like, here's a perfect word. Asinine. Right? It means stupid. Well, why not just say stupid? Not say asinine. So people don't like to read words that you never use. It doesn't sound like, you don't want to be that guy that's using words that nobody uses, that we have to look up a dictionary to read your post. Don't be that guy. So as far as writing style goes, I wouldn't sweat it too much. It's one of those things that I can guarantee you this, the more you write, the better you get at it. It's like anything, right? But the more you write, the better and the faster you get at it. So you have to do it in order to get better at it. As far as style goes, just write how you talk. Don't worry. I put hyphens. When I don't know whether to use a comma or a colon and semicolon, I just put a hyphen, right? People aren't going to critique that stuff. Well, somebody will, but you just delete those people. and here, I don't want to go too off on critiquing comments, but you will get comments from people that say something really stupid and it's just mean. You know the best thing to do to those? Delete them. Delete them or ignore them. All right? Best thing you can do in the world. But someone will come in and critique your writing style. Somebody will say, you know what, they should have used a semicolon there. Somebody's going to critique your grammar. Somebody's going to say it's really IT apostrophe S, not ITS. You know what I say to those people. All right, polls and questions. Another really good one. If you're stuck for an idea, this is a gimme. I mean, you can come up with a question or a poll in 2 minutes that is relevant to photography. So I think I did one. I took a screen capture of my photography app folder, and I said, how do my iPhone photography apps stack up? And I did a tiny little post. You can see here. I mean, it's not, it's 5 lines. Tiny little post, wrote about it, and then just asked people what they thought. How do mine stack up? Do you have more or less? It's always nice if you can end it with a question too, because now you're helping people answer you. You're not just saying, how does it stack up? Well, it's good. It's bad. So do you have more or less? And then somebody comes in and says, oh my God, I have 150 apps on my phone. Someone comes in, I only have 3. So polls and questions are really, really good ideas to start to talk to your audience. And you want to know the best part about doing stuff like this is I guarantee you it will spur ideas for other posts. Somebody will ask a question. Somebody will post, oh my God, I absolutely love this app. I can't believe you don't have it on there. And you look at the app and you're like, wow, this is cool. There's another post. A must-have app for photographers. And that, regardless of whether you have 25 followers or you have 1 million followers, people see that and they'll like it and they'll share it. And then you start to become this person that people go to. They like your opinion on things. Okay? So it'll spawn, you trust me, you'll get, when you start posting things like this, you will get so many more ideas for other posts from the people that write into you. And it's just the only thing that's left up to you is you just kind of have to see it and capture it. You have to be looking for it. All right? Don't just read the comments. Read the comments and think about it for a second. Is there another post in there? Did 3 people ask the same question? 3 people asked the same question? There's another post for you. You posted a photo. 3 people said, wow, that's, where was that taken? There's a post on locations for you. 3 people said, how do you get that? Wow, I love the silky water in the waterfall. There's another post for you. By them saying that, they're kind of saying, hey, I don't really know how you did that, but I like it. It gives you more ideas to post. 9, participate in weekly, daily photo submissions. All right, so there is a photo day for everything. There's Tone Map Tuesday if you like to shoot HDR. There's Mountain Monday if you like to shoot mountains. There's Floral Friday, winky face, but there really is Floral Friday. And then there's Catter Day. I kid you not. Who's in the keynote this morning? Nobody was in the keynote this morning. Apparently, this didn't happen. All right. So if you were in the keynote this morning, one of the people said Catter Day. They used the little hashtag Catter Day. There really is a Catter Day. So on Saturday, you're supposed to post pictures of your cat. And then you put these little hashtag signs. Now, don't put pictures of your cat. Floral Friday, I'd stay away from it too. Mountain Monday, it could kind of be cool. Tone Map Tuesday is kind of neat, but don't put pictures of your cat on Catter Day. The idea here is there is something every day of the week. If you just do a search with that little hashtag sign, and you just do a Google search for photo-related hashtags, you will find everything. You name it, you will find on there. But what that does for you is it doesn't just let you post a photo, but it gets you into a stream of people that are doing the same thing. So now it'll go beyond I have 150 people that have circled me. It'll go beyond that 150 people because people that know that it's Tone Map Tuesday, they do a search for Tone Map Tuesday, and now anybody that's posted comes up in their feed because you put that little hashtag in there. All right? So maybe you combine it. Maybe that's your photo post of the day. It said, post a photo, post a story with it. You post the story with it, and at the very bottom of it, you put Tone Map Tuesday, hashtag Tone Map Tuesday. But that kind of gets you into it. They can get silly. Some of them are very, very silly, but I think some of them can help you, especially as you're starting to get out there. It's a really good way to get other photographers to see your work. All right, let's take another question here. Oh, it's on my phone, sorry. RC did this. Harvey, Bill, was that my Starbucks line post yesterday? It's so cool. So I guess Bill posted a Starbucks line. Bill, where are you? Yeah, no, it wasn't your, but it's a good post, right? People like it. Scott says, what's the hashtag in front? Oh, Scott says, what's the hashtag in front of words? I don't tweet, so I don't know this stuff. How does it work and why do it? It looks weird. I like how I ended that. It looks weird. The hashtag that's what they use for search. So sometimes if you just look at the way searches are, if you just use the word Tone Map Tuesday, just because of the way things look through text and all that stuff, searching is different. By using that hashtag, you're kind of saying, this is the search term, and it makes the whole search process much easier. It makes the results much more manageable and accurate, actually, too. So you just put that little hashtag. It's the same on Google Plus as it is on Twitter. So Twitter uses hashtags, too. It's just a little pound sign. All right. Refresh here. Howard's right up here. Oh, Howard says, is there a time of day that is best to post? That's a very good question, Howard. Is there a time of day that's best to post? So you can do some research on this stuff. I think what you'll find on the East Coast, I never post anything. Even if I have something to post ready at 8 or 9 a.m., I don't ever post it. All right, so on the East Coast, I won't post at 8 or 9 because the rest of the country is just waking up, so they're not really looking at anything. Generally, I think you'll find the sweet spot, they say, is like 1 to 4 or 5-ish, somewhere around there, 1 p.m. to 4 or 5 p.m. Because what you do then, if you get like 12 or 1 p.m., you get East Coast on lunch break. Okay, so typically, people are looking through their feeds. You get West Coast sitting down for the day, getting their computer running, looking through their feeds, and everything in between. So you'll find that those are some of the best times. Now, it's not, I've seen posts the weekend, it's hit or miss. Sometimes you post stuff on the weekend and it's not seen by anyone because everybody's busy on the weekend. Everybody's doing other things. And then sometimes, it could be the eastern seaboard is stuck in a snowstorm and everybody's sitting in front of their computer that day. So I've seen it kind of go both ways on the weekends. I typically don't post. I do kind of personal stuff on the weekend. Just take a picture of wherever I'm at or whatever I'm doing. And I tend to stick more personal on the weekends. And as the week goes, I tend to do more photography-related stuff. One thing you can do, I don't have the website offhand, but I can tell you how I found the website, is I just went onto Google and I just did a search for best times to post to social media. Best times to Twitter, best times to Facebook, best times to Google+. Just do a search on that, and you'll find lots of articles. And what you'll find is there is a common theme. They'll differ in some cases, but you'll find a common theme, which again I think is between right around 1 o'clock or so to about 3 to 4 o'clock or so in the afternoon tends to be some of the most traffic times. And Dennis, this is a good one. He's got another hashtag, Freaky Butt Friday. It exists, does it? Dennis, where are you? I'm just commenting on the guy that said his friends do Freaky Butt Friday. You do Freaky Butt Friday too, don't you? I'm trying to ask what it He's backtracking right now, but no, I'm just there's all kinds of crazy ones. Oh, here, Catter Day. See, there you go, Catter Day. Anybody see there's a video of the cat jumping up? There's Tone Map Tuesday. So I kind of combined it. I talked a little bit about the photo. I talked about who I was with when I took the photo, and then I tagged it with Tone Map Tuesday. All right. Number 10, interviews. 5 questions with, 3 questions with. This is another great one. This one, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to go get a famous person to do it. You just find people that you might be circled with, people that you might have inside of your circles that are also photographers. Do a 3-question interview with them. Favorite lens, favorite tripod, favorite this, favorite that, favorite thing to shoot, favorite location, whatever. Quick interview. Doesn't have to be really long. Send them 3 questions, and it goes back to that whole reciprocal thing, because you're mentioning them, they see it, they mention you, it kind of all works together. But it's a really good idea. If you don't have anything to go on that day, start setting yourself up some interviews. 5 photographers out there that are in your circles, and just send them a message and say, hey, can you answer 3 questions? I'm going to post it on Google, and I'll make sure you're mentioned in it. And I can't see them saying no to that. All right, so some final thoughts on all this. Basically, general tips for helping you in this process of coming up with ideas, okay? You probably already know this, but every post needs an image. We're visual, okay? Every post needs some type of an image to go along with it. That's what's going to capture. It doesn't have to be your killer portfolio photograph, as you saw with the whole week before Christmas cleaning the house thing, but it needs some visual representation to it, okay? Now, doesn't always mean you have to have the photo. You can go on to, iStock and Fotolia. They sell images for just this purpose. They sell their lowest resolution image you can usually get for $1 or $2, and it's usually 400 pixels by 300. It's a very, very small image. You're not going to print this thing. You just want a visual cue for people to be able to look at your post. So images, post an image with it, and again, you can, like I said, you can grab them, download them for maybe $1, and do a search on there, and you'll find really cute stuff like the messy room. You'll find cute things that will help your post. You don't want to go doing this 3 times a day. It's going to cost you money. But if you're stuck for something, it's a good place to turn. We all know short is good. Keep it brief. If I can, you know how when you write a Google post, you know how it says expand this post? If I can, I tweak my post until that expand goes away. I want everything to be in that top area up there. I don't want the expand to be there. So I'll keep tweaking my post. Sometimes I can't say what I want to say, and I can't get the post down far enough. But if I can all possible, and I just, basically get the post ready, and I post it. I don't know if anybody else knows of a tip to preview your post. I'd be all ears for it. But I post it, and then I look at it, and then I sit there and tweak it. And some people will see it for a few minutes that way, but I'll just sit there and tweak it and save it again and see if the expand goes away. Link back to a larger blog post if needed. So who has a blog out here? Okay, so probably about 1/3 of you have a blog. You don't want social media to take away from your presence on a blog. A blog, to me, is where you're really going to go to tell a story or to do something that takes up space. Social media, to me, is usually, and it goes back to the short is good. To me, it's the small bite-sized things, because there's so much in social media, and it's thrown at us, right? We go on to Google Plus, and we have all these things thrown at us into our feed. So our attention span is really, really small, right? It's got to really jump out. And then if it's long, it's going to be really hard for somebody to read through because there's so much jumping out at them. A blog is different. A blog, I go to you, all right? So I go to your blog, and if it's a long post, it's okay because I've gone there and said, I want to see what this person has to say today. So you can use social media, you can use Google Plus to post that image, post a brief story, and say, more photos from this shoot are over on my blog. More about this is over on my blog. I did a full, here 3 things I love about my Boda, my Boda camera bag. 3 things I love about my Boda camera bag. Go check out my blog for a more in-depth review. So post things back to your blog. If you want to do something longer, I'll typically do it over on my blog site, and I'll just do something short on the social media side. If people want to find out more, they'll go and they'll click that link and they'll get over there. Here's a big one. Remember where I asked you guys to put a little asterisk before about it was the weekly recaps, okay? One of the best things that you guys can do as you're starting to try to get your head around all this stuff, because it sounds like a lot of work, one of the best things you can do, create yourself a folder and just learn the screen capture key on your computer. If you don't know it already, learn how to take a screen capture on your computer. Create a folder that you just start dropping images in, dropping links in. Create a text file that if you have a thought and you don't have the time to really complete that thought and write the whole story, create yourself just a Word document or a text file and put it in there. Put the title of the post and put what you would start to say in that post, just to kind of jog your memory when you come back to it. That way, as you're looking for ideas for this stuff, you just go into that folder. Well, what did I take a picture of? Oh, I want to do my link roundup at the end of the week. Here's 5 things that I thought were cool. I took pictures of them, so now I can go back and I can get to them. Okay? Ideas for posts, same exact thing. You go back to that Word document, you go back to that text document, and all your ideas are inside of there. And now it'll spur something and you'll start to write about it. But you're not going to be able to do it all day. These ideas are going to come to you, and if you don't capture them, I promise you, you will lose them. I promise you, you will sit there one day and you'll be like, I know I had a really good idea and I can't remember it. It's happened to me a million times. So start to make those ideas. And then the last thing, it goes to what I had mentioned before, ask for interaction. Ask for the interaction. At the end of the blog post, maybe in bold, and does everybody know a little tip on Google+? If you put an asterisk before and an asterisk after something, it'll bold it. So that way it stands out in your post more. It's one of the reasons why I like the formatting of Google+. You can't really do that anywhere else. You can't make anything stand out. But ask for the interaction. At the end of the post, put an asterisk, and put, what bag do you guys use? And now you're not just leaving the thought out there, you're actually getting people to interact with you because they know exactly the question that you want them to answer. Okay? When you ask people a question, you're likely to start to get more of that interaction. Okay? Like I said, folks, I'm wrapping up here. I asked in the beginning, the whole point of this is it's just to get you guys thinking about ideas. It's really hard. I asked this question in my last class. How many people have another job besides photography? Okay? So from 9 to 5 all day, you don't have the time to sit there and think about, what am I going to write about? What am I going to post about? You've got a job. And then usually after 5 o'clock, you've got to come home and eat dinner and play with the kids, do whatever it happens to be. But you don't have a lot of time to think about this stuff. So hopefully these 10 tips kind of just give you a little bit of a jog or a little memory jog or a little idea when you're looking for something to post out there. All right, let me do one more quick feed check here. And my app crashed. No, let's see. Dennis said, Dennis, this is the best comment of the day. Great presentation, thank you. No, that's what he said. Let's see. Oh gosh, it really snowballed here. Okay, Charles, is there a way to know if you're posting too much? How do you know you're posting too much? I guess if you see the interaction level go down, if somebody just says, dude, stop posting so much. But I think generally 1 to 2 times a day is kind of like your max. And they can't be like all thought-provoking. Think about it this way. I'd rather post one really, really good post a day than 5 posts that aren't very good. Okay? So you have to think about this stuff a little bit. You also have to think about what you want to be. You know, I go on Twitter a lot, and I see people, they don't ever post anything really about themselves or how they feel about something, or on my way to the movies, did anybody like the Avengers? You know, it's just, they're just posting links. It's like they're a news source, you know? And it's okay to just post a link that you find intriguing every once in a while, but I find I unfollow people that's all they post. 15 times a day, it's just a link. It's a news source. You know what? I have my news sources. I know where I'm going to go to find news. I don't need my Twitter feed to start showing me a news source. So you know, if you're posting too much, my personal opinion, if you're posting more than 2 to 3 times a day, I think that's too much. Something in the morning, something in the afternoon, something toward early evening will usually do the job. Next question. Gerald says, do you use social media for different parts of your life and therefore different posts? I.e. Facebook for close friends and family, Twitter for curated media links, and G+ for blogging, photography. Absolutely. All right? I absolutely do that. In fact, I have, Gerald, where are you? Gerald still here? Oh, Jerry. I have Nick Software gave me Nick Color Effects Pro to give away. So really good question. So you can come up and grab it at the end. But really good question, because I think that exists out there. I know we're at the Google Plus conference. I still use Facebook. How about you guys? Okay. Don't tell anybody. We're going to keep it between us and the camera back there. But I still use Facebook. But that's Gerald, he echoes my thoughts exactly. That's why Facebook, to me, is friends and family. That's where my friends and family are. And it's very friends and family-ish, you know, it's got that feeling to it. Google Plus, to me, has more of a photographer community feeling to it. Scott and I were talking about this the other day. If you want to find information on photography on Facebook, what do? I don't know what to do. Yeah, I've been using Facebook for how many years? I don't know what I would do. I mean, search for photography, but you're going to get people's business pages, photography business pages, where they're not really sharing information. I mean, they're just trying, 10% off of a portrait session if you use Facebook code 2012, right? That's the kind of stuff that you'll come up with. So to me, Facebook doesn't really work for that kind of stuff. I still do a lot of cross-posting where I'll post something to Google Plus and I'll post the same thing to Facebook, and I never have anybody say, hey, you just posted the same thing in 2 places. So do that stuff. Google Plus, Facebook, Twitter, close that loop, put it on your blog. You have that whole loop is now closed. You've put it everywhere. And I do it, and I never have anybody say, stop putting it in multiple places. So, but I think Google Plus is where the photography community that wants to interact with each other, not just, I want to create a Facebook page for my senior portrait business and give them a 10% off code. It's become the place where photographers interact. Facebook, friends, family, and I argue even to some extent business, because it is still a good place. You'd find the photographer in your community, and you may go to Facebook and see, oh, senior portrait sessions, 10% off. A few more questions here. What time? Ooh, I got 10 more minutes. Do you backlog posts? Bree says, do you backlog post? Where's Bree? Bree. Like backlog is in? Yeah, okay, so I think she means backlog. Come up with ideas, kind of even pre-write them sometimes, but not post them right away. So yeah, I absolutely do that. I use Evernote. Anybody use Evernote out there? Gosh, guys, great program, great for this stuff, because you put it on your computer, you put it on your phone, you put it on your tablet, and it always syncs, so no matter where you are, you have access to that stuff. And so if I add it to my phone, it gets put on my computer version eventually, and vice versa. Great program. So I create them in Evernote, but you could just do it in a text document or a Word document. Absolutely, though. I create the posts, and that way, when I'm stuck for something, I know I can just grab it, post it. Harvey, kind of like multi-level marketing, yeah. Randall, how about international? Most of my website visitors come from Europe and Asia. So so Randall, if most of your visitors come from Europe and Asia, you have to post in peak times that they would be doing things. So I think lunchtime is a good time. So whatever their lunchtime is, dinner time, commute time, that's a bad time. 7 to 9 in the morning, commute time for a lot of people, those are bad times. Lunchtime's a good time. Afternoon, when people are working and taking that mental break from things, right? We all sit back and check our pages after a while when we've been working for a while. Those are great times. So I think you'll find the afternoons work well. So just find whatever times those are for your audience. And that was it. So that's it, guys. If you got any questions, I will hang over here to the side, or we can take it outside if you do. But thank you so much for coming. I hope these ideas help you guys out a little bit when you're coming up with stuff. Thanks.